Hello again. I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
And I'm George Williams. I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System in Lawrence, Kansas.
And we've got another great episode for you today. Today, we're actually going to be talking about integrating MarcEdit with Koha. Actually, George will be talking about this. But first, as always, we are hosted by koha-US. You can find all of our videos on our website at koha-us.org, and you'll find them under Learn. You can go straight to the video playlist, or you can go to the Learn page and scroll down to the bottom and find our video playlist tiled there. And you'll find our videos on our website, as well as other resources that we've earmarked. You can also find our videos on our YouTube channel. If you search for koha-US on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, or you can also subscribe to individual playlists. And we will always welcome your comments and feedback on our videos. But with that said, George, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, this this whole idea of talking about MarcEdit comes from a koha-US meeting I went to. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was the system administrators meeting. It might have been the web development meeting. I'm not 100% sure. It was the same people that are always at all the other meetings, it seems like. So there were at least 3 people that asked questions about this. And I happened to know about it, so I gave them a quick walkthrough of how it works. And they said, oh my God, you've got to do some details. You've got to show me how to make this happen. So for those of you that have never used MarcEdit, MarcEdit is a cataloging tool that is developed by Terry Reese, who I believe is at, I don't remember if it's the University of Ohio or Ohio State. But he's developed this tool for editing MARC records. And if you go to marcedit.reset.net, and I'm going to make sure that we'll make sure to have that link in the video. But if you go there and go to downloads, you can find the most current version of MarcEdit. And download it to your computer. I already have it on here. And I'm not going to talk about the mechanics of downloading it or setting it up. It's pretty straightforward, but I'm going to open it up and show you what I showed Fred and Lauren, and at least 2 other people were at that meeting. So this is what, I've got MarcEdit open here, and I almost always by default go to the Marc editor. And if I go up here to Koha and search, I've already got this set up so I can integrate with Koha. And I'm just going to type a title in here and search for Eye of the Needle. It's an old Ken Follett book.
And George, just before you get too far in, for those of us like me that don't use MarcEdit, help me understand the purpose of MarcEdit and why this over just editing stuff within Koha.
Well, one of the things we can do with MarcEdit is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records came up when I did the search for Eye of the Needle. And if I download all of those items, I'm going to get all of those items in the MarcEdit window, and it's the full MARC record for all of those items. And I know these last 2 are not Eye of the Needle by Ken Follett. I can take those out of here. But I can load a whole batch of MARC records in here. These are all 3 the same thing, Eye of the Needle by Ken Follett. I guess 2 of them are the movie version and 2 of them are books. But I can use MarcEdit to do different tasks. You can go in here and say, I want to add a new field. Maybe there's a field that I feel like all of these records should have that they don't have. Maybe there's a subject heading that all of these need. So I could say, you know, I'm going to add a 650 subfield A, and maybe put in a subject heading like, I mean, this already has the subject heading of World War, but I could go in and I could tell it to add that field to every record where it doesn't already exist. MarcEdit is for catalogers, and it's a really powerful cataloging tool. Let me actually, there is a report that I run once a week or so at my library. So for example, I have this report that I run regularly to see which video games have just been added to the system. I run this about once a week. And here I've got a couple of PS4 games. And they don't have all of the records aren't the way that we like them in Next. So this is a cleanup job that I do about once a week. I'm going to open MarcEdit, and I can search for that record number. Oh, and I need to select a database, next search catalog, search. So I get that record into MarcEdit, and then I've got this, it's a PS4 game. So I've got this task that I've saved on a different computer, not on this MarcEdit, but I've got a task that I've saved that I can run it, and it's going to do like 20 different mark changes just by clicking, but just by running that one task. It's like saving a macro in the advanced cataloging editor.
Nice.
And so with MarcEdit, in addition, you know, I've got this spreadsheet here. Let's say I wanted to batch edit all of these files at once. I can open up a notepad file. So I just saved all of those biblio numbers into one text file. And I can go back to MarcEdit now, and I can tell it to do a batch search based on those record numbers. And I save that. And then I can tell it to do a search, and it's going to search for all of those record numbers. And I don't know how many I put in there, probably about 25 it looked like. And I can download all of those records into MarcEdit at once, and then I can batch edit them with those, with the different tools, or like I said, I can do those tasks that I've already saved. Usually I do most of my MarcEdit work at home after dinner, sitting on the couch watching TV. I will do some of these cleanup tasks, so I don't have those tasks saved on my desktop computer here. So, but MarcEdit is really powerful that it can go through and add fields, delete fields, move fields around. It uses regex, so I could go in and tell it, you know, every place that that I find this thing spelled one way, I can substitute a different spelling for that. You know, you can add and delete fields, you can build new fields, you can copy fields, you can edit field data. Editing subfield data is, I do a lot of that, where I'll say, you know, look for the 245 subfield C and find one thing and replace it with something else. So it's really powerful in the way that it does this stuff. But the integration that the people at the meeting were really interested in is, how do I search Koha from MarcEdit? And so I was going to walk through the steps on how to do that because that's what everybody was really interested in. So let me go to the MarcEdit settings. And actually, first, I want to show you how to set up a new Z3950 client. So if you go to the main panel in MarcEdit and do Z3950 SRU client, and up here under Actions, I'm going to choose Add a new Z3950 server. And so I'm just going to add another version of the Neckles server. So I'm just going to call this Next2. And you put in the host name of the Z3950 server. And the database for Koha is Biblios. And the port number. And I know we're doing Mark 21 syntax. I don't need a username or a password to get into this database. So I'll save that. And if I go to select databases, I've got Next2 as the database there. And so now I've actually got this record staged and ready to play around with. If I do a search, it should pull up this. Oh, I'm not going through the MarcEditor. So I'm going to go to MarcEditor and I'll go to search. I'm searching Next2, and I'm going to search for that biblio number. And now I've got it in MarcEdit so I can modify it. Now, the first time I ever used MarcEdit was after I saw Nick Clemens do a demonstration of it at the koha-US conference in Wenatchee, Washington in, what was that, 2014, 8 years ago?
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was one of our first.
Yeah, and the way that
first, yeah.
It was before there was this integration. So what Nick showed everybody how to do is you download the records through the Koha export tool and you put them in MarcEdit and you do your modifications and then you save the Marc file and you upload it back to Koha.
Mm-hmm.
The Z3950 integration means that you don't have to go download the records from Koha. You can just download them straight into MarcEdit. And then there's another option that's available in MarcEdit. If we go to settings and go to ILS integration, I'm going to do a new integration here and I'll call this one Next2. And MarcEdit has got Koha built in.
Nice.
So I can click on Koha. And then the thing about the ILS integration is you have to have a username and a password in Koha that has cataloging permission.
Okay.
So I'm going to put in the address of our server. I'm going to put in my username and then my password. And I'm going to use Z3950. And I think, yeah, select ILS Next2, select. And I think that's everything I need to do. So if I save
that select server settings, how did it know what was in there?
It's looking, since I told it to use Z3950, it's looking for the Z3950 servers that I've already established.
You're just telling it which server. Okay.
I'm telling it which server to use. Yeah.
Got it.
And there is an option there too. If you don't have one already set up, you can create a new one from here and go through that addition there. Oops. So now that I've got that set up, I can go in here to MarcEdit. And I can do a Z3950 search. Let me go back and find that biblio number for that record. So now if I search for this record, it's searching Next2, it's found the record, download the item, download the bibliographic record. Here's that record here, training and testing record. It's got a 245H that says video recording Blu-ray. It's got a subtitle or it's got a 245p and a 245N, it looks like. So let's go back to MarcEdit, and I don't need the search window open anymore. I need the Marc editor. Let's go ahead and change the name of this to
Oh, you got rid of your subfield.
yeah, I need to make sure that that A stays next to that dollar sign. So I'm just going to make a few changes here to the record that are, it's a test record, it's a meaningless record. So after I've made my changes though, I can go back here to Koha and say update create. And it'll let you edit, you can tell it to, if you made changes to the item records, you can have those changes applied to Koha as well. But I didn't make any changes to the item records, just to the bibliographic records. So I'm going to say no there. Records processed 1. Now if I go back to Koha and reload this, it should reflect those changes that I made. So this is just, you know, when you do this with a batch of records, when you can download a whole batch of records at once directly into MarcEdit and then use something like a global search and replace to modify things about those records, it makes it a really powerful tool for catalogers. And the fact that it integrates with Koha, all you need to know is you need to know the credentials for your Z3950 server, and you need to have a username and a password that allows cataloging access. And then you can download those records straight into MarcEdit, make the changes in MarcEdit, and re-upload them back into Koha without having to leave MarcEdit.
Very nice.
So yeah, it's a really powerful, useful thing if you're a cataloger.
Right.
It is also a huge potential here for screwing things up if you're not a cataloger.
Yes. Yes.
So there was an issue when Koha, when we changed, Koha used to have all of the metadata stored in the biblio-items table. And when we made that change from having the metadata stored in biblio-items to into the biblio-metadata field, that broke part of the integration with MarcEdit. And it took a little while for that to get repaired. But that was one of the first things I did after that update, without realizing that it was going to screw up the 50 or 60 records that I was updating. I managed to screw up 50, like close to 60 bibliographic records by doing a MarcEdit update without realizing that the change in Koha, that MarcEdit hadn't caught up to this change in the database of Koha. And so I mangled like, it was close to 60 bibliographic records. I was able to fix them though pretty quickly though, because we had our test server. The data was still current on the test server. So I was able to go back and find those records on the test server and re-import them into our production server.
That's great.
But yeah, that's how to use Koha with MarcEdit with Z3950 and a cataloging login. And you know, I've done things before where we had one library that they wanted to change the way everything, and they had a local history room and the call numbers were inconsistent. So we used MarcEdit to download, to batch modify all of their call numbers to add a prefix before the beginning of all the call numbers that didn't already have that prefix. And there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with that. You just need to be able to identify the records and bring them into MarcEdit.
Right.
And then MarcEdit can make the changes. And some of the changes, you know, some of the special tasks that I have set up on my laptop will take a list of records, like a list of DVD. It'll take the DVD biblios that are new that need some things changed with them. And it will run through all of these tasks in like 2 minutes. I can modify like 100 records and then re-upload them into Koha, and the whole thing takes like less than 5 minutes. So
Nice.
can be really powerful.
And again, dangerous.
Yes, and completely in the wrong hands, this could really screw up your system. So be careful.
Yes, especially keep track of whether or not your MarcEdit is up to date with your Koha. Because yeah, it looks like it caught you off guard. And that has a potential there as well to screw things up if you're not staying up to date on those.
All right. Well,
all right. Well, thank you, and we'll see everybody again in a couple weeks.
All right. See you later.